Welcome back to the Kattie Fleece Show. I am so excited about today's guest. She is a longtime client of mine, but also happens to be a total boss bitch. And so I hope you don't mind me using that term, Sarah.
I love it. We'll go with it.
But Sarah Brand is actually joining us today, and we're going to talk all things like entrepreneurship, being a boss babe, all the things. So, Sarah, really quick, why don't you just kind of introduce yourself, tell us a little about who you are and what you do, and then we'll just jump right in.
Yeah, so I am Sarah Brand from Indianapolis area. I am a nurse by education, and recently, a year ago, founded the Refinery Med Spa that's right here downtown Indianapolis.
And it is the bomb. I'm not going to lie.
It's so fun.
So fun. I actually, Sarah's a client of mine and I'm a client of hers. All of my things, and I'm like, listen, just make me look young, okay? I don't age. So oh my gosh, I love it. So you are, yeah, you just celebrated your 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
But so you are a fairly new entrepreneur.
Yeah. So I and worked in like the medical aesthetics space for another practice for a few years before. And then just a year and a half ago decided it was time.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So what made you finally decide to take that leap and open your own aesthetics practice?
Yeah, so my whole background was always very clinical. I always knew I wanted to be either a teacher or in healthcare. I wanted to help people. And it never crossed my mind to do anything business related, anything entrepreneurial. I always said that my favorite subject was math because there was always a correct answer and there was a like finite way to get there.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship seems so scary to me because that's not it at all. But the practice that I was working for, I learned a lot of great things there. But I didn't feel like I had room to grow. I always felt like I would be working for someone. I couldn't make the decisions I wanted to make for my patients, for myself, my family. So I finally just said, get out of your way and go do it.
Yeah. How I know the answer to this because I was like there with you through it, but like
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how scary was that?
Like a 12, I would say. No, I mean like fucking terrifying. Like, to something that I've never thought about. I never considered. I have no background in, I have no education in business or anything like that.
Yeah.
But looking back, it was obviously the right move.
Right. So it was terrifying, which I think
Absolutely.
honestly, I honestly don't know if that feeling like ever goes away because just
Yes.
as a business owner, I've been
Yes.
a business owner for a long time. And it's funny because you and I are actually very different. You remind me
Yes.
of my husband. More is I need all of the facts. And me, I'm like, I just jump. I don't know what I'm jumping into. I just do it. I've always been that way. So for me, it's I don't think it's terrifying, but it is a lot of pressure,
Sure.
especially when you have staff and, mouths to feed and, a team to overlook and all the things. But like, when you say you were terrified, like what was it or what were your feelings around that? But and how did you overcome that feeling of just, for lack of a better term, being scared shitless?
Yeah. So I think the biggest fear for me was lack of control, which seems kind of like contradictory to what I've said. But I wasn't going to be able to just show up and clock in and know what the paycheck was going to be. But that also then allowed me to be rewarded for my effort instead of just trading hours of my life for dollars in the bank. Like if I worked harder as an entrepreneur, I have the opportunity to help more patients and make more income for our family. And I think the biggest difference is that in entrepreneurship, it's just like jump in and start building wings on the way down, like figure it out. And I finally asked myself, like, am I okay with complacency and being comfortable, or am I more afraid of the failure? and a little bit more on my background. So I'm the typical first child, type A, ballerina, perfectionist, all of the things. And to not be 100% prepared and feel like I could do it perfectly at first was a big mindset shift for me. But
Oh,
at some point, it's just which one's scarier, being complacent and feeling like you've got it all together, or just going after it and building something.
right. So good. So good. I think too, it's a lot of people like open their own business or, start this journey of entrepreneurship and expect to like get rich quick. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. Yes. And like where is the goal? Where is the motivation? And if it's I'm gonna open a business and be rich in
Yeah.
6 months, like don't even open it, right? Like
With
that is
that.
not
Yeah.
what we're doing here.
That. Let me know how it works out for you, you know?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
A lot of people too don't understand like the resiliency and the patience that you have to have in order to be an entrepreneur. And that's why I genuinely believe that not everybody is cut out for it.
Sure. Totally agree with that.
You agree with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely probably the hardest thing that you will ever do in your life. It's
Yeah.
worth it, especially if you are in the service-based industry like we are, and you just genuinely love your clients and you get to literally show up to quote unquote work. I use that in
Yeah.
quotation.
Right.
You get to show up to work and like literally help people. Like it doesn't get much better than that.
No. Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So
And I feel like people can feel that like genuine,
yeah,
like energy for doing and serving versus come buy my shit and make me rich. Like that's not what it is,
yeah,
right? It's that like service to your client that
yeah.
people can feel.
100%. And you need to, and I know you understand this, but like the client always has to be top of mind when you're in the service-based industry,
Absolutely.
well, actually probably any industry where you're dealing with clients, but specifically the service-based industry, because that is what's going to set you apart. You know,
Yeah.
that client, like the clients always come first, besides family, obviously that comes first, but
Yes. Yes.
so how has the big scary leap that you took, a little over a year ago? Of course, I think this process started what, like spring of 2022, maybe?
Yeah,
Something
absolutely. Yep. So I left the previous practice in the spring, and then it took us about 6 months to get the doors ready to open to start seeing patients.
Yes. Which, by the way, your space is like the bougiest.
I freaking love it. Like I come in here every morning, I'm like, is this real life? Like I just get to hang out in here. I love it.
Can I just hang out there? Like,
I mean, come on.
like I actually want my house to look like that. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
love it.
So cute. It is
Thank
so,
you.
it's like just obviously you guys that are listening can't see it, but it's very girly and just, oh
Yes.
my God, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so cute, but like also very industrial and like,
And it's exactly what we wanted. And that was another thing that the practice that I worked for previously, there was no emphasis on the patient experience and what the space looked like and felt like. And I thought those things were important. So that was something that I can control, that I could build my business
yeah.
to look and feel the way I wanted it to.
Mm. You know what? I love that you said that because I am that way in my home and like where I work. Like in my work, I work from home, but like my office, I cannot have like clutter in my office. It has to be very, as my 11-year-old daughter would say now, but like aesthetically pleasing. Like she's
Yes.
stuff all the time. And I'm like, what do you know? What do you know
Talking about.
aesthetically pleasing means? But what but like it's true because if my workspace is not conducive to like my standards and how I want to feel when
Yeah.
I am, working or communicating or creating content or, um, working closely with clients, like it affects, it affects all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does. Totally does.
Yes.
Some
Yes.
people don't care, and honestly, it probably doesn't bother them at all, but it does bother me.
Yes. And I want, and the patients, the clients that I want to attract
Yeah.
enjoy this sort of thing. This
Yeah.
isn't like the like pink and gold and white marble and that's not for everybody. And that's fine.
Totally fine.
And that's something I've learned in the last 18 months. Everyone doesn't have to want to come to my business, and that's okay, right?
Well, but you know what? Actually, I think too, you don't necessarily want everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And not that there's a good or a bad at all. That's
That's
not
right.
okay. But also you are, you work very closely with clients, same thing with me, and I don't want to work with everybody. That's
That's exactly right.
why we have to charge for our services, because they're, if I didn't and I worked for or with everybody for free, like, hello, that would create, same thing with you, a very burnt out business owner and coach, which nobody wants to work with.
Absolutely. And I have recently had that conversation. I had somebody come at me in the DMs about pricing and the cost of Botox or whatever. And my tactful response was, it's not meant to be for everyone. And if you can only afford a Toyota, you don't go like yell at Jaguar for their product. That's fine, right? Like, you find what you choose to invest your money in, whether that's health and fitness or that's your aesthetics or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
some people make those things a priority and some don't. And
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That is
Yeah.
okay. But anytime somebody says, something along those lines. In fact, I was also called, what was I called this week? And
I mean, it's all sorts of good things.
called privileged,
Oh,
but
yes, of
that's
course.
another story for another day. But again, it all goes back to, listen, we're not supposed to be for everybody, and I don't
Sure.
want to be for everybody, and that's okay. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
people that you are for are just like magical. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely magical. I love that. So, okay. Anyways, back to what I was gonna
Yeah.
say
Sorry, we got off.
on how cute your space is.
Yes.
But this big leap that you took in this part of your life, the business part of your life, how has that shown up in other areas of your life? Or have you noticed like being braver or more courageous or whatever in other areas um, of your life,
Yeah.
other than your business?
Sure. I think my biggest shift mindset wise has been from the options are either perfection or failure,
Yeah,
which is insane. But that, I mean, that was my first 35 years of life.
right.
Is that was the expectation I put on myself in all areas. And to then go through this process of starting a business and learning that, we've seen the chart where it's like success and failure are linear, right? You go through failure on your way to success, and it's not always an uphill climb the whole way. There's ups and there's downs and there's good days and there's days that you want to just freaking burn it down and like
Yeah.
go back to work for somebody else. But that's part of the process, and to understand that it's all a process, and it's not okay, I nailed it every 24 hours I'm awake, or it's shit. It's that whole thing. And learning that in this field translates to so many other areas, right? In my relationship with my fiance, in my parenting, in my friendships. Like, okay, Matt and I get in a disagreement. That doesn't mean the relationship's over. Like,
Yeah.
that's dumb. Like, that's
Yeah.
not how it works. Like, you move through and you learn and you grow through the process.
Love it.
And to have that in all areas,
Yeah.
just that shift in the mindset has been the biggest thing.
Well, I think too, like, like you said, you have to go through failure. And I don't think failure is a bad thing. So many people
Yes.
have this, like, it has this negative connotation around it. And I'm like, no, like, failure, are you kidding me? Like, that
Yeah.
is teaches you.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
Like, that is your lesson right there. When you can use failure as a lesson, like, that is your teacher. It's not,
100%.
you don't have to stay stuck there.
And I think the other big shift for me, and I remember a specific day that this clicked, is me. So I have a 9-year-old son, and 2 years ago, like almost this time of year last or 2 years ago, telling him he was scared to do something. I don't even remember what it was, but I said, "Bud, it's okay to be scared, but that doesn't mean we don't try." And I was like, "Holy shit, I'm telling him that, but I'm not living that. Like, are you kidding me?" And I think that was the time when I was like, "Okay, I can't parent something I'm not living."
Mm,
And to be telling him those things of like, it's okay to be scared and still take action.
yeah.
And then I was like, dang it. I'm like, all right, we're doing this. And I think that was the time that the wheels started turning and the business got put into motion.
Scared action. But
yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah. You're exactly right, because I say something similar all the time. I'm like, listen, you tell your kids to go out and achieve their goals. You tell your kids that anything is possible. You tell your kids to eat right and be healthy and take care of their bodies. You tell your kids to, work hard and
Yeah.
you'll be rewarded in life. But so many people do not freaking do that for themselves.
And then wonder why our children follow in our generational footsteps.
Yes.
Right? Because they learn from our example. They don't learn from the shit we tell them.
100%.
Yep.
It literally, especially when they start to get older, they know, and I say this without a love, with or out of love, but they know when you're full of shit.
Absolutely.
They do.
Yep.
Because they know, like, oh, okay, it's just,
she's telling me that, but she's not doing it. Yep.
They literally watch your every move, even when you think they aren't.
Yep. Which sounds scary, but it can be so powerful also.
So powerful.
Right? Like the first time so my treatment space here used to be 2 closets. I don't know if you even knew that, but like
yes.
What it was before was disgusting. Like there was no electricity in here. There was no plumbing, like literally 2 storage closets.
Yeah.
And then all the demolition. And the first time my son came in here, he was like sitting in my treatment chair, like looking around, and he's like, so you just like thought of this in your brain and then did it? And I was like, hell yeah, bud. And just to, you know what I mean? For him to like conceptualize that at 8 years old and get to set that example for him, it's awesome. It's so fun.
So cool. And isn't that, that's the beautiful thing about life, is even if, you're a parent listening to this and you're like, well, crap, I've told my kids all of those things. I've said all of those things to my kids, and I personally haven't been doing it. Like, the beautiful thing about that is you have the power to change that.
And they can watch you go through those struggles, and that's okay too. I don't hide the struggles from him, right? No. I don't, if something's going wrong, I tell him about it. I'm like, hey, we had a tough day today. This is what happened, and I'm okay with, we share those things. And then he's comfortable sharing his struggles with me and not feeling like I'm looking at this perfect mom and I've got to be a perfect kid.
Yeah.
Like just to go through that together.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's so good. So good. But it does. Yeah. That's just, you're a big testament of, what that's like, and really genuinely like showing your child go after your dreams and do big things. You can accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish, because at the end of the day, we have that option.
And do them scared and do them unprepared. Don't wait till you feel ready.
No.
And that was the big thing for me was I kept thinking like, okay, I'm not ready to open the doors. I'm not ready to see patients. Like my wallpaper's not up, or whatever excuses I could come up with because I was scared. And my fiance finally said, like, what are you waiting for? You're not going to be ready. Just go do it. And I saw this, I heard stats that I think this is a very gendered thing, that women want to be 100% ready. Or I've heard the stats about like applying for jobs. Women will only apply for jobs if they feel like they meet 100% of the qualification, where men will apply for jobs if they meet half of the qualifications. And I don't know why we feel like we have to like be perfect or be ready instead of just get the hell out of your way and go do it.
Yeah. It's like there will never be a perfect time, literally ever. Like
for anything.
How many times? I mean, like, you can literally think of so many things, like, I'm going to wait till Monday, or I'm going to wait until the new year, or I'm going to wait until football season is over, or I'm going to wait until the kids graduate high school, or I'm going to wait until this or that, or I get this bill paid off, or I'm going to wait until I sell my house, or I'm going to like,
it's not coming.
It's not, because as soon as that thing happens, guess what? You're going to say
something else.
There's going to be something else. There is, and I'm so sick of, and I mean that in a loving way, but I really am so sick of seeing women, specifically, probably more than men, just literally not go after what they want.
And talk about it all the time.
Talk about it all the free
complain about the issues, but not do anything. Just sit.
You look back 10, 20 years from now, and you literally think, What,
What?
why did I not do the thing that I said I was going to do 20 years ago?
Yeah, and a powerful thing that I try to keep in my head is the time is going to pass anyway, right? So I didn't go to nursing school until I was 34 years old.
Wow.
It was a second degree for me. It was a change from what I did before. And I was like, God, am I too old to go back to college? I don't want to be in school with all these freaking 22-year-olds. Like, I got a kid at home. I'm like single mom working, doing all the things. But that just kept playing in my head. Like the time is going to pass. I might as well be doing something awesome. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I might as well be
I'll be,
making myself better.
yeah, doing something you love and
Yeah.
want to do. I think so many times too, especially women, but more in particular moms, just kind of like, for lack of a better term, and I don't know if this is going to come off right, but like almost just exist. You know what I mean? Like they
Yes.
exist, but they're not like truly living. They're like
Yes.
existing, taking care of
For
everybody,
other people. Yes.
making sure everybody else's needs are met and everybody else is going after their goals. And but they don't do it for themselves. Like it's so freaking hard.
Like it's selfish or something to want to like take care of yourself. And I don't know where that comes from.
I don't
But
either.
that,
I think
yeah,
it's the opposite, actually.
yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
Like how are you going to like pour? And I love the analogy of cups. Like you
Yeah.
can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
love
it's
it.
like they say on an airplane, it's like, you
Put
know,
your
in the case
yes.
of an emergency, you put your oxygen mask on first,
Yes.
then you help the others. It's
Because if
this,
you're passing out, you can't help anybody.
it's
Hello.
literally the same thing. It is literally the
I
same thing.
love it.
True.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay, girl. So before we close this out, I want to know, and this could get juicy, it's fine. But like, there's so many quotes out there like women support women or babes support babes. That is a big statement that kind of floats around on the internet or on social media in particular. Do you find this to actually be true?
So I think yes, if you surround yourself with the right people.
Mm.
In the medical aesthetic space, the whole stereotype is everyone is super bitchy. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to train you. They're going to steal your patients and talk shit about you behind your back.
Mm.
And there are absolutely those people, but there are those people everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
But I 100% believe if you surround yourself with the right people, if you find your group of humans,
Yeah.
that it's there, the support is there and the love is there. I think that if you continue to be around people who are not treating you well, they're not going to start treating you well because you work harder to try to get them to like you.
Yeah.
I think that's a very like high school female mindset of everyone needs to like me. I'm gonna work really hard to be super sweet and not abrasive, and everyone just like wants to be my best friend. And you shouldn't have to work for somebody's respect.
Yeah.
Like if you're not like getting that support and getting that love, like it's okay to excuse yourself. Like you're at the wrong table, right? Like get up and go find somebody that will support you.
Mm. Yeah,
And I
it's
get
okay to
real
walk.
fired up about that.
Yeah, it's okay to walk away from tables. And actually, I've seen this image like floating around, and it's something along the lines of like, God heard conversations that you didn't hear.
Absolutely. And that's why you're not at that table. And that's fine.
It's so true. I
And
think,
that's been a huge shift for me.
yeah,
Even I mean the last 15 years just working on myself with a therapist on my own, all of the self-growth that I've put in and continue to work, not that I'm like some finished product, but that being okay with everyone not liking me, and
yeah,
I don't have to change who I am to try to get that.
yeah, yeah. I think, have you ever experienced, I'm sure you did, and I'm sure anybody listening to this at some point in their life has probably experienced what I'm about to say, but like, do you feel like there were certain people in your life that's like, believed in you and supported you and wanted to see you win until you actually did start seeing success, and then it was like, oh wait, that amount of success makes me uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden it's almost kind of like they turn their back on you. Have you
Absolutely.
experienced any of that?
Yeah, and I think that comes from a place of jealousy. I think that's a them problem
It
and
is.
not a me problem, and that has taken time and work to understand. And I think that, I mean, I think you probably experienced the same on the health and fitness side. Like, if I'm choosing, I've got a really good friend, Angie, that's very involved in fitness and health, and she's incredible. And she and I have had conversations about if she takes chicken and vegetables to lunch, like people in the break room are like, "Oh, you eating healthy? Like, what a weird," like pick on somebody that's choosing to do good for themselves. And like, how weird is that? Instead of the people that are supportive, like just because it makes them uncomfortable, they choose to try to like bring you back down to their level, like crabs in a bucket. Like, you
Crabs.
can't get too good. You can be okay, but if you make me uncomfortable, like now you're the problem.
Well, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is, and part of me really does feel sorry for them. Uh,
Yes.
I mean, really genuinely, because I just know that they are obviously experiencing something in their life that is making them feel like they can't,
Like trapped almost. Yes.
almost trapped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it is, like you said, it's definitely a them problem, and they're just projecting insecurities out onto people that they love. It's actually
Yeah.
not the fact that they don't love you or they don't like you anymore, but it's so easy to project those insecurities out on the
Yeah.
people that are closest to us, you
And I
know.
think, and it shows up in interesting ways,
Yeah,
like a family member or a best friend that's like, I just don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to embarrass yourself when this doesn't work out for you.
yeah,
Instead of like the real friends, and I have these couple few people that are like, you are such an inspiration. You make me want to be better because you're putting yourself out there.
yeah,
Instead of like, oh, I'm trying to protect you. Like don't put yourself too far out there.
yeah.
It's a totally different group of humans. Yeah, let me pull you back a little bit.
It a little bit. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I could go on and on and on about that, because it happens really in all areas of life, whether it's, you open a business and see success, or whether it's a client of mine that has a lot of success in weight loss. It's the same thing. Or maybe you
Yeah,
have a really happy marriage, or maybe you get to travel a lot, or whatever it may be. There's always certain people that are just not going to support you or have your back. And I just want to say to that, like, it's okay.
yes. And that's hard, especially when they're family or they're your best friend since kindergarten. I mean, that's hard.
It is
And
hard.
and I fortunately have not gotten to a place where I feel like I've needed to eliminate any of those humans in my world.
Right.
Um, but there's people I don't talk about my business with.
Yeah.
There's people that I don't talk about this world with, and it hurts. Like, I would love to, but you got to protect. Like, I've got to protect my own peace
Yeah.
at that point.
Yep. So how can we as women or as a society do better at actually supporting other women, just like the famous social media quote says?
Yes, I think the best way to do that is just the understanding that someone else's success doesn't mean you can't also have success,
Oh, so true.
right? It's not that at all. Like, we can all be awesome. There's so many like analogies for it, but like rising tide raises all ships. Like, if you step out of your comfort zone and go be awesome, like you might get to pull somebody along with you. You might get to like watch somebody else be better because you've set the example. And it's scary to be that first person in your family, in your friend group.
Yeah.
But maybe everybody else is just like waiting. Maybe there's somebody like waiting for you to go be awesome and just needs a little bit of that tug, that forward like
Needs
motion.
recognition. Yeah. And I think too, a lot of times, like, especially if you're in the service industry, that support, like showing your support, does not necessarily even mean like buying your services. It can
No,
be,
yes,
liking your Facebook post, or
yes, yes,
literally just giving you a, hey girl, I see you, you're doing an amazing job. That doesn't mean like go buy my product or go buy my service.
yes.
There's
Absolutely.
so many ways that you genuinely can support other women without it being like, costing you money.
Yes, and just be a kind human, right? Like just be a good person. Like, why is this hard? And I am so blessed that I have found a core group of other injectors in the Indianapolis area that I think most people would say are each other's competition.
Yeah,
And we have a little like text group and we like support each other and send pictures, like with patient permission, of course, of like, hey, how would you treat this person? Or like, maybe there's another girl that's really good at something and I'm like, yeah, that's not my forte. And we'll like send patients to
that's
each
amazing.
other and like we can all be awesome. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have
There's
to be
so
like
much
talking shit
truth.
about each other and like, and we like each other's Instagram posts and like, wow, those are gorgeous lips or, whatever, but just like supporting each other
Yeah. There is
is the
literally
bottom
room
line.
for everybody to win.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody. Oh,
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, I do too. And I think understanding that like we can all win differently,
Yeah.
right? Like success for your client is different than success for my client,
Yes.
but we can all still be helping people and like building those communities of helpfulness. There's one thing that I always like to post is like a flower and a Christmas lights look different, but they're still both beautiful. And
Yeah.
like, what if a Christmas light decided to dim itself to look more like a flower? That's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, it can all be awesome, but it can still be different.
Well, and success like does not like there is not a magical like formula for what
Yes.
success should look like. It's literally different for every person because my definition of success could be totally different than your definition of success. You know,
Yes.
I've got clients that, feel successful once they've lost, 50 pounds, 100 pounds. I have other clients that couldn't give a rat's ass what they weigh and literally don't care. It's
Yes.
more about, hey, if I am 10 pounds heavier than what I started, but I've got muscles or if I've got a six pack, that's all I care about. So it's like success is very, very different. Some people it's monetary, like, hey, I want to make $1 million this year and I'm going to feel successful. That's a goal of theirs. Others are like, you know what success is to me? Being able to spend time with my children and not
Yes.
tied to a 9 to 5 job. That is success to me. Or you know what I mean? Like it's so
So
different.
different. Yes.
I just feel like so many people they spend their time comparing their success to other people's success. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you don't even have the same goals.
No, and then you never reach your goal because you're so distracted by so many other things. Like stay in your lane and go to work. Like
Yeah.
quit looking around.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, so good. So
I
good.
love it.
Oh my gosh. All right, Mama. Well, tell my audience where we can find you at on social media. And also, we mentioned earlier, Sarah's in the Indianapolis area. So tell us a little bit about too, like if somebody wants to come for injections, where can they find you?
Yeah, so our office is just south of Bottle Works, which is like the cute new little area in Indy. We're at College and North Streets, but we do a whole lot of our activity on Instagram.
Yep.
Our Instagram handle is the Refinery Med Spa Indy, INDY. And I'm there all the time. So shoot me a DM. I'm happy to chat if anybody's interested in aesthetics or just business thought process. I'm always there. I'm always happy to chat
Yeah.
with people.
And she does it all, skincare, injections, and I'll leave your social media handle too down in this show so
Awesome.
people can find you easily. So,
Perfect.
well, thanks for joining me, Sarah.
Yes. Thank you so much. This has been so fun.
Yes.